Play.
Quando mi fa male.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis. Good morning.
Good
Matt, how are
morning.
you?
I'm good. How are you?
Not bad. There was a bunch of matches of which I could have chosen, but can you imagine why, or can you guess why I chose this one?
I mean, I think Medvedev on clay is always a bit of an experience. I actually, coming into this match, I kind of thought Kecmanovic might be a bit of a test for Medvedev, but looking at their head-to-head, it's been very one-sided. I don't think Kecmanovic has won a single set so far, and even a couple of years ago at Roland Garros, Medvedev got a straight sets win. So it'll be interesting to see if that trend carries on.
Everything you said did have an influence, but the main reason was the weather. I wasn't
Right.
trusting it.
Yeah.
So I knew this one obviously was going to be starting under potentially under a roof, but I'm looking at the weather right now and it is dry. But I do think there's a very good chance that there's going to be intermittent showers today. I believe, from what I understand, that it's actually probably going to be a little bit better than yesterday, and that some play may get finished, unlike about 8, 9, 10 games, which is basically what we had yesterday on the outside course.
Yeah, it was a bit of a naff day in terms of actual amount of tennis. There was some great matches on the show courts, but yeah, it was a bit bleak in terms of weather. But I've seen the same about the forecast today.
Yeah, we'll see. Actually, there is one match already. In fact, there's two matches already started. I can see Golubic against Potapova and Vekic against Kostyuk. Badosa, Putin Saver, that's an interesting one as well, about to get underway too. So there is plenty of intrigue out there. But yes, you mentioned some pretty good matches yesterday. Did you manage to catch some or all of Osaka against Iga?
Yeah, I caught pretty much all of it. I mean, I just I couldn't take myself away from it. It was too good. I was it was a weird feeling because I got into the match. All I wanted was a competitive match, and then I actually
Hmm.
found myself feeling a bit gutted towards the end that uh, Osaka had let it slip after playing such a good match, and arguably she didn't let it slip. Swiatek clawed it back.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. I wonder if the match would have been elevated to an even higher level in terms of the way we view it if Osaka had gone on to win it, either in the same manner like 7-5 or if it had been a deciding set tiebreak. I just wonder if that might have elevated it to another level. I think there was another element in terms of, listen, I enjoyed it so much, but it's being spoken about as a contender for match of the year in comparison, particularly with obviously with the Sabalenka Swiatek match in Madrid. That Sabalenka Swiatek match, though, I think was both players playing their best tennis at the same time at various points in the match. And of course, it had the drama of the tiebreak and many missed match points. I think there were several, more than one anyway, for Sabalenka. I think there was two at least. That's the thing. But then, of course, French Open elevates it, but second round brings it back down a peg or two, if you know what I mean. I don't know how you feel about those two matches.
Yeah, I think as well with the Madrid match being a final, there's just that extra element of the title being on the line, like so much to play for. But yeah, I think sometimes it's best to just to have both as top matches rather than say which one's best because some people are going to prefer different matches for different reasons. At the end of the day, the key point out of both of them is that Swiatek saved match points to win both of them.
Any regrets, do you think, for Naomi?
There was a couple of shots in, I think it was the 5-3 game where
Yeah.
it felt like there was opportunities, particularly I think there was one into the net and yeah, it felt like the court was open for her to take it. So yeah, perhaps, but at the same time, it's a case of she's almost a product of her own downfall because I don't think anyone expected her to get that close.
Right.
So the fact that she was that close almost makes it more agonizing.
Now, I can't decide if the roof is closed or not. I thought it was open, but now I can see, I don't know if you're looking at the similar images to me.
Yeah,
Um,
there's
do you
like
see what I
lines.
mean?
Yeah, there's
Those
like
lines, yeah.
I would guess closed, but then I don't know because
Uh,
obviously.
Yeah, right. Maybe they're just like, listen, it's going to rain at some point in the next hour, and therefore we're going to just have it start on the roof rather than
Yeah,
shut and open and shut it, whatever. As we can see, some of the matches are already well underway, including Vekic being up a break on Kostyuk, and one game apiece between Potapova and Golubic as well. I
I
think that
believe.
Badosa Putin Saver match is intriguing amongst others.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I watched quite a bit of Badosa against Bolter, which again was a really enjoyable match. And Putin Save has been in some very good form this year, so it'll be interesting to see how Badosa recovers and to see if Putin Save can carry on from the rest of the form this year.
I was there in Rome just over a year ago when I saw, after a lengthy rally between her and Ostapenko, and it was also an exciting match between those two. And at the end of one particular lengthy rally, I saw Badosa keel over into the flower bed, like, and I just thought, well, yeah, that's normal at the end of a pulsating and strenuous rally like that I just
Yeah,
witnessed. But what, of course, I probably now was witnessing was the final moments of what was going to be a prolonged layoff, if you like, for her, because then she didn't really play. I know she sort of tried to play Wimbledon, and I know she was in the Billie Jean King Cup team, but it looked more like a cheerleader than someone who's seriously going to be taking the court. Yeah, someone who basically was just not going to be playing tennis for quite some time. I found it once I knew that she'd hurt her back, I was kind of surprised to see her trying to play Wimbledon just a few weeks later. But I don't know if that exacerbated the situation at all. But anyway, good to see her on a tennis court, and fingers crossed she can stay fit for a lengthy spell now. So her and Putin Save is an intriguing one underway. We have now got underway with Medvedev and Kecmanovic. That is our prime focus, and we will primarily be talking about that. But of course, if we see some drama elsewhere, such as a break point for Kostyuk over on court number 12, we will highlight it. So, given the head-to-head that you highlighted between Kecmanovic and Medvedev, are you seeing that, probably continue here with a straight sets win for Daniil?
yeah, because it's a strange one because I mentioned that like I came into the match thinking it'll be closer than their head-to-head suggests that it will be. So it's intriguing to know if, like, because Kecmanovic got a good opening round win against Montero, who's been in good form. So that surprised me. So maybe he'll surprise me against Medvedev. But I think Medvedev will be the victor regardless of the score. I could see Medvedev in 4.
Yeah. Yeah, I can certainly see Daniil dropping a set as he did in the first round. I think he dropped one set, didn't he? It was a 4-set win he had over Kupfer, I think. And Medvedev's path, I remember being a little tricky. I can see Hurkacz and Nakashima are underway as well. And don't forget, they got underway at 6-5 for the American. So they are already into a first set tiebreak. So buckle up there. And Nakashima is leading 3-1 in that tiebreak. So, yeah, that is an interesting one. Of course, Hurkacz has already been involved in a 5-set match in his first round encounter, which was on Sunday, I think. It was on day one of this tournament. Quite a while ago.
Yeah, it's not really surprising to see Hurkacz in another tiebreak. I don't actually think he was in one on Sunday, but today he's already begun
Was it
one.
Monday? Was it? I thought it was Sunday.
No, I think
Might
it
be.
was Sunday. Sorry, yeah,
Okay.
Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see if he can pull that one back. But it now is 4-1 to Nakashima.
Yeah. Squire against Felix, Ofner against Baez, Marozsan Dimitrov, I think also falls into that intriguing category, and Shapovalov Tiafoe is curious and intriguing as well. If only for the fact that if only for the fact that Tiafoe, okay, I thought it was going to pull off an amazing passing shot there, but Kecmanovic serving, and he's at love 30 here. So tell you what I'm going to do is, for potentially the next point or two, because it could be quite important, I'm going to talk us through those points
Yep.
Matt, and then you can tell me whether you are behind or ahead of my stream. I know I've watched you a few times this week, and I just can't remember if you're behind or ahead, but we're about to find out. Kecmanovic serves out wide to the forehand of Daniil, and it's an unreturnable after what seemed to be a pretty low bounce, and Daniil couldn't deal with it, particularly given his deep court return position. So it's 15-30.
I believe I am marginally behind. I'd say about 10 seconds, perhaps.
All right, I'll just do one more point, and then we'll come back to that topic. Down the tee, forehand return does land in, so we're into the rally. Nice change of direction there from Kecmanovic, but it's not helped him too much in terms of the rally because Daniil maybe anticipated it. As they exchange forehands right now, and Daniil Medvedev goes long. So yeah, am I about 5-10 seconds ahead? Am I?
Yeah, I would say so.
No problem. I can't adjust my stream, unfortunately, because I don't have the pause option, but I can certainly adjust the way I talk about points and at what juncture. Dimitrov has broken Marajan in a match that I had as almost a 50-50. So that is not panning out that way, at least in the immediate early stages there. Shapovalov, who had a 40-15 lead over on Tiafoe, is now back to deuce. Any of these matches that I sort of touched on, were you thinking, yeah, that was a sort of potential one that I would be keen to keep an eye on?
I suppose Tiafoe Shapovalov is very intriguing just because both really need a win, a bit of a run, especially at a major. Shapovalov needs the points particularly to kind of claw himself back in the top 100, but
it's kind of very 2021 or very 2022.
Yeah. Like as you mentioned before, but also put in save Vekic Kostyuk as well. Both seem quite even. I wouldn't be too surprised either way.
Indeed. Struff Public, that's interesting, coming up later on. David
Yes,
Fokina Rude as well.
Just as I see that Nakashima did, in fact, go on to win that tiebreak.
I was just about to try and find it, but okay, good to know. So Nakashima is up a set to love, and Baez is already up an early break as well. So quite a few breaks occurring already on this Thursday morning in Europe. Osan asking, do we think Kei Nishikori stands a chance against Ben Shelton? Well, of course he stands a chance, especially as they are recommencing at 5-all. However, I do have Shelton as a I would go for Shelton in that one, maybe even in straight sets. But of course, a lot will depend on the next 2 or 3 games. I'm not sure if they are a match that has already restarted or not, or if they're going to be later on in the day.
It seems as though they're probably second on.
Yeah, they're later. I'm just checking now. Yeah, I can see that. You've also got, of course, Leylah Fernandez is up 5-3, so that's a match that's going to have to restart, if you like. A little bit later on. By the way, Kecmanovic did hold, and now it's Misha who is applying some pressure to the Daniil Medvedev serve. That little net cord there may be helping him. I think I might have asked you before, but I'm going to ask you again. So it's love 30 here on the Medvedev serve, by the way. Just one second. Oh, that's a nice drop shot. As I say that nice drop shot, did I delay myself long enough that it was?
It was probably about at the same time, but it's you're all good.
Yeah. Well, the good thing is with several matches going on at once, I can be talking about those while you keep an eye on proceedings with Kecmanovic and Medvedev. Medvedev's draw, I'm going to quickly find it, but I do remember thinking there was quite a few obstacles for him on the way. Unlike Hubie Hurkacz, who I thought had a pretty nice draw, there's no guarantees, as we can see, a set down to Nakashima. But and Nakashima had a really good win over Rublev in Barcelona from memory, right?
Yes, that is true. Nakashima seems to have last year. He seemed to have not really lived up to his next gen finals victory, and this year he seems to be kind of showing more of what everyone thought his potential was.
Mm-hmm. Really interesting point. We've actually seen some interesting points already, and that one finished with a lovely backhand winner by Medvedev down the line, 40-30. Sebi Korda and Kwon, that's a match that's restarted as well. And Sebi Korda has gone on to take that first set to, take one step towards a match with Carlos Alcaraz in round 3. Arnaldi and Muller are also underway. And it's 5-3 Arnaldi in that one.
Another hold for Medvedev there, clawing it back from love 30.
Yeah. I've seen Kecmanovic at close quarters, and he is very hit and miss. But when he's hit, like, for example, I don't know if you saw much of the Davis Cup last year, but he beat Jack Draper in straight sets. And I think a lot of us at that point were particularly high on Jack going into the Davis Cup, and probably had Jack as the slight favorite. But Kecmanovic was arguably the best performing Serb at that tournament, despite Novak Djokovic's presence.
Yeah, I was hoping you were going to mention that match, because that's exactly the match that I was thinking of. He was unbelievable that day because, like you said, I think Draper, we really thought, was probably the favourite to take the victory for Great Britain, but Kecmanovic had other ideas about that.
Yeah, very much so. I also saw Kecmanovic at close quarters in Estoril 2023 when he made the final, and then got to the final only to get roundly beaten by Casper Ruud, who has an extremely favourable head-to-head against him until they played each other in Rome, I think, and Kecmanovic got his first win over Casper.
Yes.
I think
I was
Casper
surprised
might
about
have
that.
I think Casper might have had some back issues that day.
Yeah, which is what surprised me when he went to go and play Geneva, but he won the title,
Yeah.
and he is obviously probably one of the top 5 favourites, I would say, for the title this year.
Yeah. I have a power rankings that put Ruud at 5, although I think you could argue Tsitsipas and Ruud could switch. So I have Tsitsipas and Ruud at 5. But bearing in mind, they played each other twice in 2 finals, and obviously one went. You're going to watch a point here, and I want to know if this final ball lands in, because if it does, and it did land in, that's a pretty spectacular bit of defense there from Daniil Medvedev on both sides. Yeah. I think Misha's a bit annoyed because I think he could have gone a bit closer to the line or with a bit more power. But Medvedev, first of all, on one wing, incredible defense. And then on the other wing, where he's just chasing it down, if you like, to not just defend it, but manage to get a decent lob on it, is pretty impressive.
Absolutely. I think just to show that court craft in that position is what separates the top players from the less top players, I suppose.
I wanted to get up somebody's. Oh, I know who it was. It was both Medvedev and Hurkacz's draw, because I was just saying how Hurkacz is quite kind, which I think is why I've probably got him in like round 4, the quarterfinals. And Medvedev, for me, was just a case of which round is he losing in, and it was primarily because he had so many. So he had Kupfer, and I thought he'd had I think I tipped Montero to beat Kecmanovic, because Montero's had a pretty good clay court season. And then he's got the winner of Mahac Navoni in round 3, Medvedev. So again, it's all sort of close ones, if you like, that I was like, I think Medvedev probably wins that one. I think he wins that one. But as a result, I thought he's got to go out at some point. But anyway.
Yeah, I was in exactly the same headspace. I felt like I kept clicking Medvedev, then clicking his opponent, then clicking Medvedev. Yeah, it's a tricky one. And I kept going with Medvedev just because he is Medvedev.
Ozan here with a question about if we get a break point for Medvedev, because we are at 15:30 here on Misha's serve, I'll switch us back to that. But we've got a question here about Sebastian Baez as we get to, Sebastian Baez. So deep run, yes, because again, this is actually off the top of my head. Baez's draw not too bad. And of course, winning in Rio, and he's just, it's pretty much all or nothing for him on this surface. Once we then switch away from this surface, it's like, well, just sort of keep your head above water almost for Sebastian. Whereas on this surface, it's obviously where he's going to be picking up titles, keeping that ranking as high as he possibly can. And yeah, and just hoping that French Open could be a little nice day in the sun for him, if you like. I don't know what you think about Byers.
Yeah, I think he's definitely he's just not the sort of player that anyone who isn't as comfortable on the clay would want to be playing. I think I don't know his particular draw off the top of my head,
We're
but
going to have a
I
look
think with
now.
a decent draw, he's definitely a potential to go deep because he's reliable on the surface. He's the sort of player that you can sort of back to have a decent performance regardless of how he's feeling.
Not bad, the draw. So he's got Offner right now, and he's up 3 level already on Offner. And he'll play the winner of Mutet and Shevchenko. And I think we've got a development in the Medvedev Kecmanovic match.
Yes, I believe Kecmanovic just hit a backhand wide to give Medvedev the break, an early break for Medvedev.
Indeed. So we've got 3-1. As I see images of Sabalenka warming up ahead of her clash today, which will be coming up at noon.
An interesting match that because on paper it's should be one-sided, but Uchijima is in a very good run of form at the moment. Understand on the lower circuit, but still winning. It helps winning.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, I think you're right. I think, she's won 19 matches in a row. By the way, what about that point from Medvedev?
Brilliant.
Just
Great
kissing
drop
the
shot.
net. Yeah. And just taking all the anything what else was there on the ball there. And yeah. There was a couple of swing volleys yesterday from Iga that were noteworthy. One of which was a nice winner, but there was another one, of course, that I think went out, and I think there was a call from the crowd, and Iga mentioned it in her speech afterwards. I don't know if you have any thoughts about Iga bringing that up in her speech after.
I don't necessarily disagree with her, like her feelings behind it. I don't know how sensible it is to do that on court, but I suppose I think her intentions were purely just like a sort of informative way, just kind of politely request them to maybe just consider it a bit more. I don't
Yeah,
think it will have any impact. I kind of think it will just sort of
she got
they'll hear it.
she got a nice sort of reception when she said it. That is a potential thing where the crowd might react to it. But
Yeah.
as Medvedev is going to try and serve this out 40-15, so it's looking pretty comfortable for Daniil for a 4-1 lead. Yeah, I mean, she did it in the absolute most polite way that only Iga can. And she is right. It is annoying, especially a swing volley like that. I mean, yeah.
I think it maybe would have got a different reaction had she been playing a French player, because obviously then they'd be
Maybe, yeah.
cheering for the. But I kind of felt like the crowd was pretty even. It probably, if anything, maybe more on her side.
Yeah. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, no, I think you're right. Dimitrov, by the way, 4-love now on Malajan, so he's got a double
Wow.
break lead. Indeed, although we have got a break point for Fabian. Yeah, I mean, you might say it's a bit odd to bring it up given the fact that she'd won, but I think it did annoy her, and it does annoy me as a fan, whoever
Yeah.
I'm a supporter of, when people think the point is over, because that's so annoying, especially when it's your favorite player and he or she hasn't won the point yet, and you're like, you can't, people have started clapping sometimes, and I'm thinking, I mean, just understand. I don't want a great understanding of the game of tennis, but a sort of an understanding of geometry or physics or both. I think I'm getting my
Yeah.
geometry right in terms of just seeing where the ball is and where it could potentially land, and knowing that there's still a 1% chance that you can mess up. And with a swing volley, by the way, it's a lot greater than 1%, as we saw.
Yeah, I think sometimes at the slams, especially, you get perhaps fans who are not necessarily as like knowledgeable about how the sort of I guess etiquette in a tennis crowd. There are certain sort of unsaid rules that you kind of just have to adhere to. So it's interesting to see that a lot of people have made comments about the crowd. Obviously, David Goffin, one of them, as Medvedev
Yeah.
hits a great forehand.
Yeah, that's a bullet. That is an absolute bullet from Daniil Medvedev. And 1-4, love 15. And if this stream continues in this manner, it might end up being a pretty short one. Yeah, regarding David Goffin, I want to sort of see a little bit more in terms of what the incident. Probably won't ever get to see it because I think it was on court 14. I'm not even sure when it happened, but I'm not doubting the veracity of his comments. It's just, did somebody take the chewing gum and throw it? Was it chewing gum? Was it? Probably wasn't a mistake. And by the way, one mindless idiot, which is completely wrong. Of course it is, but it doesn't mean I don't like a good raucous atmosphere, like a Davis Cup element.
Yeah, I mean the French crowd are great for so many reasons, and it shouldn't be undermined by a few bad eggs
Right.
because there are a few bad eggs in every situation in every form of life, and
Yeah.
unfortunately that might have affected Goffin, and those people should be like criticized. But and also I suppose the timing of those comments, I don't know if he made them straight after or how long he had to kind of sit with that on his
I think it
mind.
might be
But
press conference. Press
right,
conference,
well,
so sort of an hour later or whatever.
yeah, so he probably was still quite in the heat of the moment, but yeah.
Dimitrov is 5-love up now on Marajan.
And
And
yes,
Offner has broken back against Byers, so
and her catch has made a better start to the second set, 3-love up with a single break at the moment.
okay.
And Medvedev,
Yeah. I
he's,
mean,
he,
Medvedev is really making inroads again on Misha.
he seems to enjoy this matchup, which is not something I was particularly aware of before
No, me neither. I'm glad you
today.
brought it up, actually.
Yeah, I just would have assumed that. I'm not saying I wouldn't be surprised that Medvedev won every match, but for Medvedev to win every set, including at the French Open prior, that did surprise me.
And we're going to see a fairly advantageous position for Kecmanovic here, but he's going to go for the drop shot. It's going to hit the tape and land back on his side of the net. So we have a break point for Daniil Medvedev.
Yeah, Medvedev's been using that drop shot quite effectively, but it's not really working for Kecmanovic so far.
No. I mean, the thing is, Misha hold here when we're suddenly, in a not good position for him, but he's suddenly very much in this first set
Yeah,
still.
that is the magic of the tennis scoring system.
Indeed. I mean, I was thinking it yesterday during that Iga match.
Another great rally.
Yeah. Keep an eye on this rally.
Is it landed just long?
Just long, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there were so many points in that rally when, I mean, that volley was horrible, really. Nearly hit it out.
Yeah, and it really is kind of showing his confidence in this match because Medvedev does get so much back.
Yeah.
Just to point out that, I was going to say that Vekic is 5-love up on Kostyuk, but Kostyuk has just broken back to make it 5-1. But
Okay.
I suppose with Kostyuk, you never really know when the set's
So,
finished.
right. So she was serving to potentially bagel Kostyuk, and Kostyuk has now got
Yes.
it to 5-1. So breaks left, right, and center. And we've got
And
2 break points for Dosser as well.
I believe that Dimitrov has just bageled Marijan.
Oh, wow. And he
Which
must
is
have
really
done that
surprising.
40-15 down in that final game. Yeah, I see that.
24 minutes, that first set.
Going to get another break point here. Feels like there's a lot of things. I mean, I know there's a lot of matches happening, but I remember on day one feeling a bit more of a slow starter, lots of holds of serve and a few tie breaks. But today it seems like lots of things are happening all over because we've now got another break point here for Daniil Medvedev.
And just to say that Potapova has also claimed the first set against Golubic 6-2.
Okay, nice. This point is arguably a sort of mini set point. And here we go.
Drop shot. Beautiful.
And Misha's response to that drop shot was like, yeah, I'm not bothering with that one. I mean, I'm not blaming him. I'm not criticizing him for not running for it. Again, he's worked out the distance and how much he'd have to run for it, and he knows he's just not getting it. So it's 5-1 Daniil Medvedev.
I do feel as though each year, I don't know if you agree with this, but Medvedev and the clay kind of feels like less and less of a thing. It kind of feels like it's just he's more and more comfortable every year.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of evidence to support that in terms of his results on clay, quarterfinals in 21, bearing in mind his travail, was it 21 or 22? 21, I think. His travails before that, and his complaints as well and all the rest of it about the surface. And then, of course, culminating, at least until now, with that win in Rome. I think there's been incremental improvements, and some of it is down to the movement for sure. And the fact that he's just, probably got a better player over the years, certainly from sort of 2017 through to 2019, and then maintain that until at least 2022. I still think that the limitations, and he might, like I saw her catch win in Estoril this year, and I thought, yep, that makes sense. He will pick up. He's now got the sort of complete set of winning titles on all three surfaces, and I can see Medvedev ticking that box at some point. I mean, I think also grass is a sort of a terrain for him that he's probably underperformed on, actually, because I think he's probably got a bit more potential there than on the clay. But whether we're going to see Medvedev ever reach a French Open final, again, it'll be draw dependent and could be one of those weird and wild years, which could even be this year when all the big ones go out, or a semi-final even. And of course, I could look very silly with this in 8 days from now when we've got Medvedev in a semi-final of a French Open. But yeah, I think, quarterfinal in, I think it was 21 when he played Tsitsipas. That feels like about right in terms of Medvedev on this surface.
Yeah, I feel like the difference now is it wouldn't be as big of a surprise if you reach the quarterfinal. I feel like that's kind of where he should be reaching.
Yeah, got some set points here for Daniil.
First double of the match, I think, for Medvedev.
Yeah, so it's 40-30.
Kecmanovic had to dodge it.
Yeah, it was funny. And I'm sure you've seen it now, but Medvedev erred there with that. Sorry, Medvedev erred, complete opposite. Medvedev winner there, but it was close to going out. In fact, I wasn't even sure, but Kecmanovic is cutting a pretty forlorn figure right now at 6-1, that first set. 4 aces for Daniil Medvedev in that set. Not a single break chance for Kecmanovic. And the winner count of 16 from Daniil Medvedev to 2.
I was impressed.
Yeah.
Particularly with the variety that it was showing. It wasn't just a baseline play. It was a lot of drop shots. Kecmanovic tried to come to the net a few times, but it didn't really seem to be working.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 winners from him. Quite damning.
So her catch is now 4 love up and 40 love, so he seems to be really bouncing back from that tie-break loss in the first set.
Yeah, right. And Baez has reclaimed the advantage over Offner and is leading 5-2. Chapo Tiafo remain on serve. And Felix is up a break on Squire. And yeah, Marozsan. So Marozsan, I think, at least looked like he was going to avoid the bagel. I think he was 40-15 on his serve, I think, in that final game of the first set, as it turned out. But yeah, the potential banana skin for Dimitrov is not materializing at the moment.
It's interesting in the Vekic-Kostyuk match. Vekic has had 2 set points in this most recent game, but it's now advantage Kostyuk. And the last thing you want is to be letting Kostyuk back into a match.
Mm-hmm.
It's a nightmare. I think in the first round match, Kostyuk fought back from quite a losing point. I forget who she was playing, to be honest.
Okay.
Oh, Laura Pigossi.
Okay. Yastremska is up 5-2 on Wong. That's not maybe the biggest surprise, but it's just the fact that I think the winner of that match will play Coco Gauff, I think, in round 3.
Interesting. Obviously, Gauff, who will have an extra day rest than her next opponent.
Yeah. I think in the 5-set dynamic, it can play a huge part.
Yeah.
You know, if Yastremska gets this done in straights, I think it would be difficult to make a case for fatigue as being a reason. As we get back underway here with Kecmanovic beginning the second set, unfortunately for him, much like he ended the first, as he loses the first point. He's just looking very frustrated at the moment, Miomir.
Yeah, he looks like he's run out of ideas, which is not a good sign when it's only the first set and it's another one long.
Yeah, right. I don't know if he'll know that he hit just 2 winners in that first set, but as you say, running out of ideas and patience, if you like, as well, regarding that last rally. Yeah. Matt, I'm just going to go get a coffee. There's a shop just below me, so I'm probably maximum a minute away from the stream. So if your internet just suddenly died, it wouldn't be long that our audience would be left silent. But just talk us through points, talk us through whatever, just like we have really been doing for the last 45 minutes or so.
No worries, I can do that. Cool. Easy. See in a minute. Love 30 on Kecmanovic's serve as Medvedev tries to take an early lead in the second set. And he smashes it away to make it love 40, giving himself 3 break points. It's just really, the second set is really seeming to tell the same story as the first. Just a few other scores. Kostyuk has now gone from 5-love down to 5-2, which is one to keep an eye on, as she's also got a very good record from losing positions. Kecmanovic tries to keep himself in this game. Kecmanovic with the forehand, and he does save the first of 3 break points. Trotters off to get his daily iced latte, says Ozan Kabak. Well, yeah, I don't know his particular coffee order, but that may be the case. He's definitely off to get some form of coffee. Still 2 more break points for Medvedev as Kecmanovic serves out wide, and a nice 1-2 there to save the second of 3 break points. So some more promising signs since going love 40 down. He probably knows that he has to hold here to really get back into this match. Concerning signs for Marozsan, who is now 15-40 down on his own serve and could be losing 7 in the first 7 games of the match. As Medvedev hits a forehand, he's scrambling to stay in this point and get that break. And he's back on top of it as he cross court backhands down the line from Kecmanovic. Medvedev cross court again. And Medvedev takes the break. Some good scrambling there from the world number 5 to go 1-love up early in this second set, continuing his momentum from the first. And it really does feel like Marta Kostyuk in the other match, which is not on my screen at the moment, but just from the score, is getting back into this match. As I just showed, great tweener from Herkach from his match against Nakashima, currently leading 5-love in the second set after losing the first in a tiebreak. As Medvedev steps up to the line to begin his serving campaign in the second set. And he begins it with an ace, so a perfect start, really. And another serve unreturned. This time, Kecmanovic does manage to get a racket to it, but it goes straight into the net. It's been a very confident performance so far from Medvedev. Really looking comfortable out there. And another ace. That's 2 aces so far in this game, and none of his serves have been returned. 40-love flying through this game so far. This serve does, in fact, get returned, but Medvedev responds with a backhand winner, and that was a rapid game from Medvedev. Flew through it as he goes 2-love up in the second set. I'd be intrigued to know just how quick that game was, because it can't have been much over a minute. Almost Federer-esque. Can Kecmanovic get on the score sheet in the second set? He really needs to hold serve and honestly just get some confidence back, because he looks completely forlorn on the court at the moment. Completely stuck with what to do, but that's not the strongest start as he hits a backhand wide. Just to say that a few sets have just completed. Marta winning the first against Zizu Berg, Sebastian Korda going 2 sets to love up on Sunwoo Kwon, and Matteo Arnaldi taking the second against Alexander Muller. Still fighting in the Vekic and Kostyuk first set, as Kostyuk tries to claw back a 5-love lead, 5-love deficit. My apologies. Drop shot from Medvedev again. He's been loving those so far. Kecmanovic does reach it and does hit the winner. So it wasn't his best drop shot today, but he's still enjoying going for those. Medvedev. It's nice to see a bit of variety from Medvedev today. He's really trying to use the clay court for its benefits. As Kecmanovic serves again, Medvedev returns the ball cross court as they exchange back and forth, and Kecmanovic hits a ball long to go back level at 30 all. Key point here, really. I think if Medvedev is to get that double break, it's hard to see how Kecmanovic will be able to come back in this match. Long on the first serve from Kecmanovic. Can't afford a double fault here. Just get his second serve in. Returned by Medvedev. Rallying in the middle of the court, now cross court. Big forehand from Kecmanovic. Not one down the line from Kecmanovic. Medvedev still not giving up, but that is a phenomenal down the line winner from Kecmanovic to give himself game point and a chance to get on the board in the second set. In what has been a very testing match so far for the Serbian. His first serve just goes wide, but he's got a second opportunity to get the ball back in. And he does do that. Medvedev returns, slice backhand from Kecmanovic, cross court, and he goes long. He looks very frustrated with himself as it goes to juice, and Medvedev's still not out of this game, and Medvedev will not want to let this game go. He will really want to get that double break and really stranglehold on this second set. Just to point out, Vekic has gone from 5-love up over Marta Kostyuk to now 5-4 with just a single break. It's a classic Marta Kostyuk set. Vekic has had 3 set points, but still not been able to take it. Back to Kecmanovic Medvedev. Rally at juice. Another lengthy exchange. And Kecmanovic into the net, and Medvedev has a chance for a double break. Just going back to Kostyuk. Kostyuk has obviously been the queen of comebacks, especially in the clay court season. Came from 4-love down in the third set of her match, first round match against Laura Pigossi, and could be doing a similar thing in the first set against Vekic. As Sebastian Baez takes the first set against Sebastian Offner. Medvedev returns, trying to get that second break in this second set. Good forehand from Kecmanovic, but Medvedev still playing, and now Medvedev takes the advantage in this point. Cross court, backhand exchange, and a lot of those so far in this game. Good backhand from Kecmanovic, who comes to the net. Nice drop shot volley, but Medvedev, that's not a great shot from Medvedev. He really probably should have taken the point, but it's still going. Smash from Kecmanovic, who has another chance for a volley. A smash put away. But Medvedev still, he does get the ball, but he hits it long. So after a very lengthy exchange, perhaps lengthier than it should have been, Kecmanovic does save a break point and get it back to juice. That rally was the longest of the match with 27 shots, and it really did feel like a long rally. It felt like the point was never going to end, really, with Medvedev scrambling at the back of the court. I mean, that's just what Kecmanovic needed, an ace out wide to give himself advantage and game point. You've got to give him this credit because it would be very easy to fade away in this game after everything that's happened. It's been over 6 minutes this game, and he has an opportunity to get on the board and really keep himself in the set. And here's like another lengthy exchange. Oh, well, it wasn't too lengthy in the end as Medvedev hits a great backhand winner. And it's back to juice as this game rolls on. It's understandable that Kecmanovic is going to be very frustrated with how this match is playing out. But he just comes to the net once again, but this time to no joy, as he hits a forehand volley into the net, and Medvedev has another opportunity for a double break. Just to say that Hubert Hurkacz, won the second set 6-1 over Nakashima after losing the first set tiebreak, so back on level terms that match. Will Medvedev be able to take this double break, or will this game go on? First serve goes out. Second is in. And it's out, a forehand down the line out from Kecmanovic, and Medvedev takes that all-important double break to go up 6-1, 3-love. It's probably the best match of Kecmanovic's, the best game of Kecmanovic for Kecmanovic in this match, but he still ends up on the losing side of the score as John returns at the change of ends.
John returns, unlike certain players on the tour. It's getting quite ugly here.
Yeah, that was actually probably one of Kecmanovic's better games. He kept fighting to stay in it, had game point opportunities, but he still ends up on the wrong end of the score. And just to point out, I kind of signposted the Vekic being up 5-love on Kostyuk.
Oh yeah.
And it is now 5-4, 15-40 on Vekic's serve.
Oh my goodness me.
And now it's
And the
5-all as
wow.
Kostyuk. They
Wow.
just never counter out. I was saying that she was 4-love down in the deciding set of her first round match against Pigossi.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
And it's just that never say die attitude of Kostyuk.
Vekic, of course, progressed at the expense of Surenko, who was
Yes.
retired hurt. I saw Vekic play Osaka, I think, in Madrid, I would say. And I thought actually her level was pretty good. I just thought Maria was just, I was going to say untouchable, but, you know, Maria was playing top 5 in the world tennis that day, which from time to time she can. We all know, of course, what happened to her. The problem, of course, that Vekic will now have, I mean, it's just a brutal situation. I think you said that she's had a set point or two, right? Or we're going to get a bit of medical attention here for probably Kecmanovic, I guess.
I would imagine so. But yes, Vekic has had 3 set points. And I think at this stage, that match, I would be more surprised if Vekic were to take the first set now.
Yeah. I mean, just the psychological blow that I mean, if you just exchange serves to 5-all, you know, it would feel like a 50-50. And I haven't seen a point, but I just know how it is when you've got such a commanding lead. And once one of the breaks comes back, so maybe you get to 5-1, so it's not a break, but you're just on serve, and then a break comes back, and then the other person comfortably holds, and you're suddenly at 5-3, and it's like, oh dear. I remember Nadal being in that situation in the first set with Djokovic, although he managed to hold on for 6-3 in 2021, that semi-final. But Djokovic took great momentum into the next set, and I think he took it from that sort of potential bagel scenario to actually making that first set very competitive. Kecmanovic is getting some attention to might just be an illness or something, because it looks like he's been given a tablet.
Yeah, which is, I suppose, interesting because it
And
hasn't.
there were a couple of tail ends to points when he looked particularly relieved, let's say when the ball went out. And he also sort of, I'm not saying he gave up on any balls, but it was just like, you know, I'm just maybe not quite got the energy to get this, or I'm not necessarily thinking about that drop shot. I'm also thinking about some shots that went near the baseline.
And I suppose when you're not feeling your best, Medvedev is a nightmare opponent to be playing as he just gets everything back.
Yeah, he's like a wall.
I was just saying,
I mean,
go on.
Things can change. Go on.
I was just saying, as you were getting your coffee, that Hurkacz ended up taking that second set 6-1.
Yeah, very good news for Hurkacz. Yeah, I did just actually catch you saying that. Also, very good news for Yastremska. She is up 4-love in the second set, so she's just 2 games away from sealing her spot in the next round. Putintseva came back from a breakdown, it looks like, against Badosa.
Yes, took the first set 6-4 from. Just have a quick look.
I think it was 4-2. I think it was 4-2 Badosa. Pretty sure there was a break anyway.
Yep, 4-2. So she won 4 games in a row to take that set.
Yeah. I would have had Putintseva as a slight favourite in that particular encounter. pretty sure I probably had this in my bracket because I know I went for Badosa to win her first round, and I'm sure I would have had Putintseva to win her second. They're looking for new balls, I think, at the moment, and they keep opening cans, and you see clay-covered balls. So I don't know.
Medvedev doesn't seem impressed by it.
No, but I think he's all right.
Yeah,
6-1-3 love up. I think he's all right.
Yeah. And a twist in the tail as Vekic actually breaks to go back ahead in that first set.
Okay, have you got it on a screen? Have you the Vekic match somewhere?
No, I've just got the score on my screen.
Oh, okay. Because I've got Google score, but I think that's probably a few. It doesn't make any difference. I don't mind because I'm not watching it. But I saw it was break point, and I thought that's what you were going to say. But wow, Donna Vekic breaking for 6-5. But given the crazy nature of that first set, who knows what will happen in this next game or so.
Another winner for Medvedev on the backhand wing. I think it's just saying that. Is that saying that Medvedev's hit 100% first serves in this set?
In this set, okay.
And I mean, in that game, I don't know if you saw any of his first service game. It was.
I didn't know.
It was rapid. He hit 2 aces, and one of return served, and another one was just a 1-2.
Oh wow!
It was, I'd say, barely over a minute.
Seeing Medvedev drop shot, Miomir gives a glare towards I don't know if it's towards Medvedev or the camera, but it was a perfectly executed drop shot. To be fair, I don't think even a fully fit Kecmanovic would have run it down. But seeing that just reminded me of Del Potro's last match in Argentina against Del Bonis. Yeah, Del Bonis. And Del Bonis was drop shotting a guy who's on his last legs, let's say, and it was brutal.
I think sometimes it's nice to be all like emotional about things and see the sentimentality, but these people are playing for prize money and
yeah, you've got to win a tennis match. Yeah, you especially like today. I mean, we've all and we've all been there where we felt under the weather, and then it's like I thought, I've all been there in a situation where my foot is hurting, for example, and 5 games later, I've completely forgotten about it. I've run marathons and had the same thing go on where I've had some pretty bad pain at some point in a particular part of the body, and then you sort of finish the race and you think, oh, I forgot about I had that terrible pain at kilometer 18.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially if it's some sort of illness. I mean, you can just feel queasy for a period, and then it can just go. And then suddenly, if you're not focused in Medvedev's situation, and you're back on serve in this set or something, and it's like, oh, hang on a second.
Yeah, I think the one thing is that when you are losing and struggling, it does. I feel like your illness or injury does feel bigger than it would perhaps if it was more even.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, the desire to fight can overcome that. Vekic is inching towards that first set. 5-love, 5-all, 6-5, 30-love.
That is not a twist I thought I was going to see.
No.
But in fact, it's fair play to him because that, I think, is quite difficult to do, to regroup. And
it doesn't get much more difficult. I mean, regrouping from 3-love down, 4-love down. I mean, regrouping here, if this was an evenly matched scenario before the match began, Kecmanovic, Medvedev, I'm not sure what quite was in terms of the head-to-head, but if Medvedev, if Kecmanovic got one of these breaks back and then made a fight of the second set and maybe even came back to take it, you'd go, well, that's a great comeback. But I don't know. For me, when you've got that advantage and it goes, psychologically, it's brutal. Dimitrov Marozsan is an insane match, says Snehil. Now, is that because Dimitrov is just thrashing him, or okay? Well, the second set is more competitive, but maybe it's insane because of the points. I don't know.
Well, it says very high level there.
Okay. Oh, I see.
And I saw that Dimitrov was 3-love up with a break, and it's now at 4-3. Back on serve, I believe.
I mean, that is Marozsan. That is Marozsan in a way that he is, hot and cold, and of course that hot and cold can occur in the matter of games, not just matches. We've got another break point here for Daniil Medvedev to take a 5-love lead.
Just to say that Yastremska is, in fact, the first winner of the day with a comfortable victory over Yafan Wang.
Indeed. So she'll be playing Coco Gauff next.
And like you said, I don't think with that victory, I don't think she'll be worried at all about the extra day's rest that Gauff will be getting.
No, it feels like today was just a practice session that she may even want to augment by having an additional one later.
Yes, possibly.
Miomir shaking his head after a double fault. Is he going to retire? I think he is.
Oh.
Yeah. Miomir Kecmanovic retires, and I can see from the body language as he does retire, he sort of points at his chest almost, and just like I think he's just really feeling very sick. So an underwhelming end to that match, and Kecmanovic is out with Medvedev progressing through to the third round, and I think he's the first. No, he's not the first man in the third round because we had a bunch of second-round matches yesterday.
The first man today.
First man to progress today in the singles draw. Badosa is up a break on Putin-Saver. So, yeah. That's interesting. Go on.
Vekic did end up taking that first set, so regrouped very well and surprised me, to be honest, after going from 5-love to 5-all.
Regrouped indeed. Let me just see, because we might get a break on this court, or do they just follow? Let's switch over to Marajan Dimitrov, because Snehil is at least saying we should. And by the way, you can switch over to Vekic. Actually, you can watch whichever match you want. Okay. Really, you can now. And what I'm just wondering is when Rus is going to take the court to play Rybakina, because I think, unlike later on in the day where they say like not before 5 o'clock, not before, I think there's no not before for the second match. I could be wrong on that.
Yeah, I think it's just straight after, because my phone is currently saying 11:30, which will be 20 minutes.
Yeah. So I'm sure we'll get a decent break between these two matches. But the reason I'm saying that is because I've got a live stream for that one too. But it doesn't make any difference. We can just end this one. And if you've still got time, then you can join Kira and I for Rybakina and Rus. But like I say, just watch whatever tennis you want. Oh, the rain is coming down.
Oh dear.
So Hurkacz Nakashima is being halted. And I'm guessing Dimitrov is not on a show court. But I know it's not.
No, because I think Sabalenka is on Shatria. So
yeah. So I'm pretty sure they've brought the covers over. I think the Hurkacz match at 1-1 in the third set. So I would be shocked if it's just a dark cloud hanging over that court. What's Medvedev saying anyway? Of course, he speaks French. Yes, I forget that sometimes. And I don't, as anyone who saw the Clara Burrell press conference last week will be aware. You saw that, or did I speak to you about that already?
No, I've seen it on social media. I think me and Jerome were discussing it the other day. It made me laugh.
Yeah.
Just one of them things, isn't it?
Yeah. I honestly, I don't feel bad about it. Because... yeah, how am I supposed to know? Really?
I forget what actually happened in her first round.
She lost.
I did.
She lost. And she put on Instagram that she blamed me. No, she didn't.
Yeah. Standard.
Yeah. So I'm going to put on Sabalenka Uchijima just because I don't think there'll be any other tennis at the moment. Could be wrong, of course, but as I say, I think it's raining now on those outside courts. Whether it's just a temporary shower or not, that's a pity, because Snehil was really pumping me up for that, and I was gonna and I do enjoy watching Marajan. And I think Marajan Dimitrov does have, even if it's straight sets for Dimitrov, it does have the potential, as Snehil was sort of suggesting, to be just some exciting points, because Marajan is that kind of player who is going to throw in a bunch of drop shots and go for big shots, and yeah, they're going to come off sometimes, and sometimes they're not. Plus, you've got Dimitrov with those slices, and yeah, just an interesting matchup.
I could be wrong, but it does feel like some of the courts are still going on.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. It just no, now they seem to be just 'cause, yeah, they're all getting interrupted now. It just I
Yeah.
saw a point happen or like a score go up for the Tiafoe and Shapovalov because they're in the midst of a tie break, so bad timing for them too.
Sorry, Shapovalov and Tiafoe in a tiebreak, are they? And it's
Yeah,
just started to rain. Okay, and I
three
see
all.
Tiafoe's 3-3, is it? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was about to say Tiafoe's got the mini break, but 3-3, maybe that makes it kind of fair that they end at that juncture. And yeah, the suspended sort of things are coming up left,
yeah,
right, and center. And yeah, so we've got one match currently from we've ground to an incredible halt. Bearing in mind we'd have had about, I don't know, a dozen or so matches happening at the same time, all of which with seemingly quite a few different storylines going on. And Dimitrov, I see, has now got a break up on Marozsan as well at 5-3. You may have just said that actually, Matt. I didn't hear. So yeah, maybe that rain break has come at a good time for Fabian. Certainly a break that wasn't welcome was for Miomir Kecmanovic, who has retired hurt. And on Susan Longland, we will be bringing you Rybakina against Rus. But as we have one tennis match right now, Matt, I am watching it with Uchijima having a game point as she looks to extend her 19-match winning run. Albeit, I think this will be. I don't know who she played in those 19 matches, but I doubt. In fact, I know she
yeah,
hasn't played anyone quite of the caliber of Arina Sabalenka. But that's a nice backhand winner down the line. And by the way, winning matches, I think it does matter. Any kind of ITF tour level, it is something. A guy turns up at a slam, for example, and he's won back-to-back challenges and he's won 3 qualifiers, and now he's playing in the first round against whoever, Alcaraz, Djokovic, whoever. And I'm thinking, you know what? This is intriguing. This is intriguing, especially if it's someone like, Djokovic or Nadal, who tend to take prolonged breaks anyway, at their age.
yeah,
I remember Maxime Cressy when did he go on a run at the beginning of 2022 and or some point that year? Not just a run, but also just his style of play as well. I think sometimes when you get somebody like that, Marozsan, it certainly falls into that category, as we saw with that match against Alcaraz last year.
yeah,
When
definitely. And
someone's
I
got
think
either style of play, and it just adds intrigue. Now, if Djokovic goes into a 4-love lead, you sort of switch over. But go on, man.
yeah, I was just going to say that I think it's kind of relevant as well that she's won her run has come on both hard and clay courts. That it shows that she's just got that feeling for winning, and especially coming through qualifying it, she's obviously doing well on this surface on the conditions in Paris. So it's interesting to see how she'll raise her level against the second best player in the world.
Yeah, and she started okay. I think she was down on her serve. Of course, I just tuned in as Uchijima was serving at Love 1, but she was down on her serve, but nice backhand winner down the line. And she also won the first point on Arena's serve here. Listen, it's no shame against Arina Sabalenka, but there does seem to be a slight power differential. That backhand winner down the line that she had at the end of the first game was lovely and was sweet, and it was, nicely struck. But it didn't quite have the same velocity as a lot of Arena's shots do. But there's no one on the tour that has the same
But
velocity as Arena, I
yeah,
think. I wonder if she is the biggest ground stroke hitter in the upper echelons of women's tennis. I can't, at least to the naked eye, it seems that way. Hi, Corinne. Yes, we will have Monfils later on. Nick will be bringing us that one.
and Medvedev, yes, he did cruise to the victory, but unfortunately, I don't think Kecmanovic was feeling his best.
No.
But at the same time, I do think Medvedev did play well and showed a lot of variety, and I was impressed with his at least the first set and almost 2 sets.
Yep. I think that's fair.
Sabalenka holds to keep it on serve at 2-1.
Yeah. So yeah, what I've just seen from those two games anyway, I think it's going to be a tall order for her, but we'll see. Go on.
I just think Sabalenka at slams as well. I can't remember the exact statistic, but so consistent.
It's from the US Open 2022, and I think it's 7, but or it's 6 in a row.
It's crazy.
Yeah, 6 in a row. So this is her 7th attempt at making a semi-final or further. Yeah, do you remember when we used to have the semi-final, or maybe some people still do, the sort of semi-final discussion and whether, Sabalenka and Sakkari were in the same conversation, if you like.
Yeah, I do remember that. I remember it being, I think, was it the 2022 US Open where she had a lead on Swiatek in the third
I was
set.
at that match. I was very lucky I was at that match. Yeah, in New York.
It felt like that was the peak of that discussion because she really should have won that match and Swiatek clawed it back. But ever since then, obviously she won 2 Australian Open titles and seems a different player.
Yeah. Well, once you get over the line, I mean, she had a semi-final that year against Lynette in Australia, which is nice to sort of, I remember this stat about Jurgen Klopp and finals, and it was like, I don't know how many, half a dozen finals that he'd lost in a row, either with Dortmund or Liverpool.
Yeah.
But the fair point was that, Dortmund, more often than not, he was come up against Bayern. And at Liverpool, when he first started, Liverpool were a very different outfit to what they are today. So the point is this, he just kept coming. He was always the underdog going into those finals. So if you're always the underdog, it's almost fair enough that you lose 5 or 6 in a row or whatever it was. And in a way, with Sabalenka, she wasn't necessarily, probably slight underdog in some of them, but she was running into players that would go on to lift the title or, world number ones in the case of Iga. And it's like, okay. However, you then get Magdalena, and then it's like, okay, you kind of got to get over the line now, or that semi-final thing is going to be a serious thing. But she got over the line in straight sets fairly comfortably. And then she wins the final. In fact, have you seen? I spoke to Arena at a press conference last year. Have I played you the sort of 45-second clip of her talking about just how significant winning the Australian Open was for her mentality?
I'm not sure. What was it, in Stuttgart or somewhere?
It was in Madrid last year, so it's quite a while ago. But I'm going to play it now because it's only 44 seconds and it won't disrupt things too much. There were some Australian Open final vibes for me today, and I was looking at a couple of comparisons. Australia was 2 hours, 28 minutes. Today was 2:26. I'm sure you weren't aware of that. But I tell you, 4 championship points. Does that sound familiar? And were you thinking of it during that last game?
Actually, yes, I was thinking when I was down with the break in the last game. I was thinking, okay, I did it at the Australia Open, so probably I'll be able to get this win this time again, and it's actually helped me to stay focused and to have this belief in myself. And yeah, definitely this match reminds a lot of Australia Open match.
Yeah, so I just think that muscle memory is huge for these players. I mean, I remember Djokovic talking about it in an interview he did, I think at the back end of last year, about nerves, and he's like, yeah, I get nervous, but being in that position before is huge.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing is, obviously, she had championship points in the Madrid final this year, but it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't feel like it doesn't feel like she lost that match. It feels like Iga won the match.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, if you're trying to serve it out, and you've got 3 that have slipped through your fingers as they did in Australia, and it is kind of, albeit that final was never on either player's racket exactly. Oh, I've just seen, his name is Greg, I think, I can't remember anyway, but he's the biomechanics guy that I know Jack interviewed about 18 months ago. I've just seen him in Irina's box. Yeah.
But I suppose the only match in the last couple of years that there might be more than this, but that really stands out to me where Sabalenka maybe did show some of those fragilities.
I know the one you're going to say.
Is against Mukova last year.
Mm. In Stuttgart, again, she came out with a pretty good quote. She's very good copy, is Irina. And yeah, about that Mukova loss. And, basically that is not happening again.
Yeah.
We'll see.
No.
Of course, it's easier said than done, but yeah, if she gets in that position again, that's not going to be repeated.
I think
she, even by Irina standards, by Irina standards, I should say, I think she might have just gone a bit passive. Maybe, it's difficult to know when we're watching on the outside. Sometimes it's clear, but often it's not. Is it nerves, or sometimes even in a big Grand Slam match, you can sleepwalk a little bit?
Yeah.
I've heard footballers talk about sort of sleepwalking through finals, whether they won or lost, and not savoring the occasion, not savoring the moment. And you can just sort of drift through a match, if you like. And as a tennis player, you can just drift through that routine. That routine, you've got you bouncing the ball, you're serving, you're up 5-2, 5-3, or whatever it was. I think it was actually 2-5 maybe on Mukova's serve. You're feeling good. You know that you've got lots of gap. You've got lots of, leeway or flexibility. You can relax a bit. You can go big on a return of serve, and it doesn't matter because you're in a good position. And that's when you sort of have to catch yourself, if you like, because suddenly, you might lose that break advantage as she did. And then it's like, oh my goodness, why was I sleepwalking for the last 10 minutes? And then it's really difficult to get it back.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if this is just how I would see it, is that I suppose players are trying to tell themselves that it is just like any other match. And sometimes maybe they get that in their head too much and don't realize the occasion and rise to that occasion. I think I was going to mention Ons Jabeur in Wimbledon finals, but I almost think that's wanting it too much rather than sleepwalking.
Yeah. No. That's listen, I think most of the time, well, a lot of the time it's just, both players doing their best, but, matches can change. There are some clear indications, such as Jana Novotná, I think, in the 93 Wimbledon final. And possibly both Wimbledon finals in Ons' case, where Jana's was like, oh, I'm close to the finish line here and I'm up against Steffi Graf, possibly one of, and at that point was certainly in the conversation for the GOAT of women's tennis, and with an unbelievable reputation. Sabalenka holds, by the way, for 3-2. But so then you've got that. Then you've got another one where basically you just probably wake up in the morning and you're a bag of nerves and it just doesn't go at any point. And I think that's what applies to Ons in that final. And I'm not just saying that as just somebody watching it on TV at home. I'm saying that from looking at the body language, but also speaking to a couple of people very close to the action. One was Pam Shriver on the show, and she said basically, listen, I mean, from the minute she went to the practice court in the wrong outfit, I think it was, and then seeing her come out to go on court like too early, if you like, and what when you're anxious, it's like, imagine you're really anxious before your driving test and you turn up half an hour before. I've had that as well with a marathon, where I'm just fidgety. And the problem with a marathon is you have to wake up like 3 hours before so you can consume your breakfast, so it's not sitting on you, if you like. And you're just waiting, and it's just horrible. You just want to get things underway. And that was the feeling I had. And then on top of that, somebody much closer than myself and even Pam to the situation, I asked him about the tactics, if you like, and he said, listen, this had nothing to do with tactics today. And that was enough for me to just sort of not even not even bother with the next question.
Yeah, yeah. I think sometimes it's easy to forget that like they are just human beings, and it's like it's all well and good saying they're up 5-2. How do they lose? But they've got real feelings. They've got like they've got a normal brain like everyone else, and it's hard to switch that up and switch like the doubts off in your head.
Yeah. Yes, Ozan, we've had Pam on the show at least twice, but maybe more. Certainly post Wimbledon, she came on, and post US Open 2022 as well. She's probably been on more. I know I've done a few spaces with her, sometimes hers, sometimes mine.
Just
of course, she's been with Donna as well, albeit in a sort of feels like more of a consultancy thing. I don't know if they're still together.
I think so. I think it's kind of just like she's present with her at certain tournaments, not every week.
I mean, obviously the distance between the two on tour. I saw actually a picture of them, I think at the beginning of the clay court season. I feel somewhere in Europe that they took a picture together.
Yes. Just to say in the comments, Kren Boogie said about when Rue played Nadal in the French Open final, he believed he was sleepwalking. I kind of feel like he just paid him too much respect, personally.
Yeah, you could be right.
I think it's an idolizing Nadal sort of situation.
I'm not sure sleepwalking, but I'm not sure really nerves either. I think maybe at times that respect it can have an effect. I do remember a point in the third set when he was just annoyed, and he spoke to his team at some point during that third set. But I think he was also annoyed in that I just don't think he knew what to do, which, like he mentioned it as well in that sort of round, I don't know if it's, you know, that discussion that him and a few others had at a dinner table, if you've seen some of those lovely little conversations that they've had. And I think that Dominic Thiem is there. And of course, Thiem has made inroads into Nadal on clay and also at the French Open final where he won a set and was extremely competitive for 2 of the 4 sets, in my opinion, in 2019. But I also just think that, you know, you lose 3-3-0 and it's quite difficult to make a case of, you know, well, I mean, maybe I was nervous. Yeah, well, okay, maybe. But, you know, Jana Novotná being that close to winning Wimbledon or Sabalenka, you know, being that close to winning some of those semi-finals, you can sort of say, yeah, it was kind of there for me. But I think it just never was there for him. And I think he pretty much recognizes that when you lose 3-3-0 against a guy who's won 13 French Opens before and never lost a final as well. I think that's one of the stats from the Nadal that's actually, and it understandably forgotten when you've got 112-4 record, 14-0 in finals.
Crazy.
Yeah. And we've got a break point here for Sabalenka. Do you want to talk us through it?
Well, it was quite a short point. Uchijima serves it in, and Sabalenka basically swats it away with a backhand winner to get the break and go 4-3 up in this first set.
Maybe as I've switched streams, if you like, you know, it's switched courts, maybe our streams are much closer because I saw it happen and I pretty much then said to you. So we'll see if I'm going to talk us through this first point at 4-2 as Sabalenka serves into the net.
About 5 seconds.
5 seconds. So it seems like we're a bit closer anyway.
Yeah.
No, Ozan, I don't think. I mean, listen, we say that about a lot of records. And then, you know, I'm sure if I know people were saying it about Sampras with 14. But, you know, we've got Iga in this. Iga's on the tightrope, if you like. I mean, I'm not here saying Iga's winning 14 French Opens. But if you were just a mathematician and you didn't realize how difficult it was to win the Grand Slam and you went, okay, so there's this guy who was much better than his peers and he won 14 out of 18 appearances, I guess, or maybe 19 appearances because once he withdrew. And you go, okay, so that's like 4 out of 5, if you like, 5 out of 6, depending on how long your career is. And you go, okay, so Iga's won 3 out of 4, I think. She's won 2020, 2021.
I think 3 out of 5. I think she did play one before.
Okay,
But
yeah. So 3 out of 5, but we can almost maybe skip the first one, and we're suddenly sort of 3 out of the last four times. But yeah, whatever. And you go, okay, so she's probably going to have to win the next 2, and she stays on course, if you like, to get somewhere close to that Rafa record. But it's just so difficult to turn up healthy and to be so far ahead of your peers and just keep that consistency. I mean, it's why the calendar slam is so tricky, although in a way that could be even argued it's even trickier given the different surfaces. But the good thing about the calendar slam is it comes in the space of 9 months. So if you're 100% fit for 9 months, you don't have that. You need to be 100% fit for 15 out of 18 years, if you like.
Yeah, I think, because some people would argue that yesterday has kind of put Swiatek as vulnerable, and that therefore she's more likely to be beaten this tournament. For me, yesterday has made me think that Swiatek's going to win the title more.
Okay,
So that's how I see it.
Yeah. There are 2 ways of looking at it. I feel as though I have not moved. I've not moved in my conviction that she will win the title, and I feel as confidently about that as I did 24 hours ago, as Sabalenka gets a comfortable hold for 5-2. But if I was Coco Gauff, for example, who's a potential semi-finalist, I think I would just feel a little bit more optimistic, and I'd go, okay, the blueprint, it's not exactly there, but you've just got to go big, and Coco is not well known for going big, but I do remember in stretches of matches that she's had against Iga where she has gone for it. And I'm thinking Rome this year for 7-8 games. I'm thinking of a similar stretch in Paris last year. So in fact, I'm not even thinking about that Cincinnati semi-final. I'm thinking more about the clay court matches in similar conditions this year and last. And she did give Iga something to think about, let's say. And if she can replicate that for a longer stretch, this is not me predicting a Coco Gauff win, because I think actually if Iga gets that far, which I think she will, there'll be enough. I don't imagine Iga having to go through 2 or 3 more matches like she had with Naomi to get to that round. But I'm just saying that Coco just needs to go up another gear, but not 2 more gears to really get a situation like we had yesterday.
For me, the big one will be, and I forget if it's the 4th round or quarterfinal.
Ostapenko.
Yeah, Ostapenko or Daniil Collins will be the big one for me.
Yeah.
Because obviously they're kind of more similar to Osaka, hard hitters, players who Swiatek has typically struggled with more recently.
So it's probably Buskova in the next round.
Yep. And I forget if it's... I feel like it's quarterfinal, but I could be wrong. I know that Vondrousova was also in her quarter. Just having a look at the draw now, just to confirm. Yeah, I believe it would be a quarterfinal.
Okay. So, Kira is about to get underway because the other players are about to start. Just give me a second. Oh, we've got some set points here for Sabalenka.
The first one saved as Sabalenka hits into the net. It's been a fairly comfortable performance so far from the world number 2, against a player who's on, as we mentioned, a 19-match winning streak. Albeit this is definitely her most difficult opponent, but she hits a nice drop shot there to save the second of 3 set points. Just not going away just yet. Will Sabalenka take the third of set point? First set goes into the first serve goes into the net. Strong return, and Uchijima can't deal with it as Sabalenka gets the set. 6-2, first set Sabalenka.
What did you say? First set goes into the serve.
Yeah, it's the words are all just scrambling together.
Yeah, don't worry. Wait till you get 2 players with similar sounding names. I think Nick was having Nick and also James earlier on this year were having some fun with that. And you've got Maria Sakkari against Tatiana Maria, and you're looking at your screen and you just see Maria against
Sakkari, yeah.
Maria Sakkari, yeah, exactly, yeah.
Or if you had like an Arantxa Rus against Gabriela Ruza, that could be a challenge.
Yeah. So we've got Rybakina against Rus about to get underway on Susan Longlen. I am tempted to just stay live until Sabalenka this match finishes, because it might be a quick one. We'll see. But it's with tennis, you just never know.
Yeah, I'd be happy to cover the rest of this.
Yeah, that sounds cool. Thank you, Matt.
It's hard to, it doesn't look like it's raining anymore, so I don't know if that's a good sign.
Oh, I can see. I think I just saw some covers being pulled back.
Yeah. A good sign.
It is kind of going in terms of the weather. And by the way, I'm not here to make wonderful predictions, but it does seem like the weather is going a little bit like Nick suggested last night. And I think I had seen that it was going to be better than yesterday. But of course, yesterday was 10 games or something.
Yeah.
So can't be much worse. I mean, I think we've probably already had a longer stretch than yesterday.
Yeah, I think so. The second set is now underway. Sabalenka puts a great smash away, 30-love on her own serve. It's been pretty comfortable for Sabalenka so far.
Yes. If this was sort of, for me, was just shaping up to be a super tight match, I would be tempted to just hop over and join Kira. But I have a feeling, and feelings can often be deceiving, that we might not be here for a phenomenal amount of time covering this match. So I thought we'll just bring this one stream to an end, and then I'll jump over and join Kira for Rybakina and Rus, which, well, we'll see how that one pans out, but they could well still be in the first set.
I believe the winner of this will play either Putintseva or Badosa, which could obviously spell another Sabalenka-Badosa match. But I think the first one went to Putintseva, so currently Badosa needs to pull that one back if that's to be the case.
You mentioned about the respect that of course Ruud would have for Nadal. I sometimes think playing a friend can. Some people are probably a little bit better at blocking that out. You know, friend, mentor, you know, this kind of thing. And it's a similar dynamic going on with the big three. I know it's been mentioned in a book about Federer, where certainly it's suggested that Federer could deal with a lot more, if you like, that when there's a guy over the other side of the net who they're good friends, or maybe they're hitting partners and they practice a lot, growing up together, whatever. Roger could deal with that as the recipient of the respect, if you like, and maybe it is a bit easier. And Novak and Rafa, they can just switch back into, I'm playing a tennis tournament here and I want to win it mode quicker than I think some opponents. I remember, I think it was a tournament in Serbia, 2021. Yeah, on the eve of the French Open, Novak decided to do just like he did this year with Geneva, just to play a tournament. And of course, he went on to win the French Open that year. So maybe that bodes well in terms of his decision to play Geneva. And I just remember seeing, again, that sort of dynamic you touched on with Casper, that they're just sort of in awe of the opponent. And it's like, oh, I can't believe I'm going to be sharing a court with Novak tomorrow. And you're like, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like if you're going to be a Grand Slam champion, you have got to switch that off.
Yeah.
But luckily, he won't have to contend with that this year if he does make the final. I mean, it'll be, if he is to reach the final this year, he'll have a new Roland Garros opponent in the final, because previously he's played Nadal and Djokovic, but Djokovic is in his half of the draw.
So, do you do the predictions for the brackets on?
Yes, I joined the league, the Talking Tennis League.
I'm just looking at it. Is your name Game Set Matt?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So I just guessed that was you. Yeah, I'm looking at just the men's singles one because I've got a screenshot of it. And yeah, you're doing okay, but not as well as I am. I don't know who GP Tennis is, but they are top, at least on the men's singles leaderboard.
I think my best half so far has been the bottom half of the women's draw, but we've obviously only had the first round of that so far.
Yeah, I was doing okay, but I think the person who was really standing out was Nick. I'm now
I saw he posted to Twitter about, or X, that his predictions, it was around the 40s, I think, out of 64.
I think he got more. I think it's on 50 or 51.
Wow.
Yeah. Just having a look now.
Uchijima does get a nice hold there to keep herself rolling in the second set at the start. I think when you've won so many matches as Uchijima has recently, I think she'll want to keep fighting. She won't give up, regardless of who her opponent is.
Yeah, 1-1.
Sabalenka is just continuing to outmuscle Uchijima with a great forehand winner there, right in the corner.
So I don't know. Do you know what Nick's name is by any chance on this?
I do not know. I just saw it on social media.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I got 46 out of 6. I've got 46 out of 68, which is okay. It's like 2/3, 3/4.
Yeah.
That's on the women's side, and on the men's side, I'm on about 50 out of I don't know how many. $51 out of 69. So again, about 70%, 65%, 70%. You want to be, you get below 50, and you're doing worse than random.
That's not good.
No.
I feel like I went fairly standard this year. Sometimes I do throw out quite a wild prediction, but I don't think I had anything too crazy past the fourth round.
I went for some shocks in the first round. Shocks.
Yeah,
it's too strong a word for some of them. I mean, yeah, I put Badosa in that sort of. I posted about 4 screenshots, I think, with sort of some eyes emojis. One of them was, I think 3 of the 4 came off, But rightly so. A lot of people saying, well, Badosa beating Bolter is not exactly a shock.
I mean, yeah, that I predicted that as well, but that match was a lot closer than I was imagining it was going to be.
Did Bolter win the first set?
Yes, she came back to win the first set and was, I think, 4-2 up in the second set.
Oh, wow. Bolter was up a set and a break.
Yeah, and then Badosa fought back.
Okay.
And it was neck and neck in the decider.
Of the 4 sort of eyes emojis ones I did, the one that didn't work out, it didn't work out at all, was Mickelson to beat de Minaur, and I think Mickelson won 3 games.
Yeah, I did notice that. Yeah, it was quite a dominant performance from de Minaur.
Yeah, but then I think the other 2 did actually happen, because I think it was 3 out of 4. Oh yeah. Oh no, I had Bellucci to beat Tiafoe, and it didn't happen. That's right, 5 sets, of course, and he was up 2-1, but that didn't happen. But I almost took that as a victory. But
yeah, very close.
And the other one I'm sure did happen. Oh, I had Jack Draper to lose his first round.
Oh, did you have Norrie losing to Kotov?
And I had Norrie losing to Kotov as well. Yeah. So I had those 2. Yeah. And I had De Jong, I think it was, to be. So actually, I went I think it was 5 matches in all. I think I got 3.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Not from a British perspective, but for predictions.
No, I wanted to ask you about that, actually, as I see Sabalenka put away a nice forehand there for an advantage. Yeah, 6 matches, 0 wins, which, of course, was a nice little headline for 1 or 2 journalists to pick up on 6 Love. Yeah, it sort of feels like 1 step forward, 2 steps back on the clay for the British players at times.
Yeah, I felt like some of those were kind of acceptable because you kind of think, for example, Harriet Dart against Noskova, that's a tough draw, and it was actually quite close. So I think you can kind of go, fair enough. It was pretty close. She did better than we thought. Park it to the side. But there was others where you kind of thought that there was opportunities. I think Bolter's kind of different to that because it was very close. She played very well, and I think Badosa just maybe having more experience in those situations at Grand Slam level maybe brought her through. But it wasn't the great show from a singles perspective for the Brits, but there's still doubles, I suppose. There's a few doubles contenders, including Andy Murray playing with Dan Evans.
I see that clearly the delay was long enough to warrant warm-ups, because I can see Hurkacz now warming up.
Yes.
With Nakajima. Of course, they are 1 set all, which is much better news for the Pole, bearing in mind he lost the first set on a tiebreak. And Dimitrov, I think, is about to get underway. 5-3 up in the second set, having won the first set over Marashan. Sabalenka here 2-1 up. I think there's another gear for Sabalenka to go up to as well, but she might not need it. Yes,
I believe that Rebecca is currently having to fend off. Well, I think she has fended off the break points from Roos, but that game is still going. In her
the first game?
Her second service game.
Oh, okay. Are they on serve at like 1-1?
Let's have a look. As it loads the breakdown for me. I believe it's now 2-1, so she has held, but...
Okay. Because, of course, she's got off to a very slow start in her first round match.
Yes.
Before then winning, I think, 10 games in a row.
That's come from 30-40 in that second game on a serve.
Okay. So there's a bunch of matches I'm showing on the screen, and you'll be thinking, why are you sharing all these? Because it says suspended over them. Well, actually, I think they will be commencing once more very, 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 very soon. Mertens against Martic coming up later. So pretty much I think all of these matches will be warming up now, as we see a little drop shot there from Sabalenka. Something we saw a lot of in Rome, and I like it. I like it.
Yes, yeah. It's nice to see power players using variety, especially on clay courts where it's more effective.
in a way, if you are a power player, as Carlos Alcaraz pointed out last year, I said, oh, wait till you see this one.
Oh, yeah, great job. Great lob from
Lovely
Sabalenka.
lob, yeah. I mean, Uchijima is probably a little bit more vulnerable to that, bearing in mind her height, but it is still well executed here.
Yes.
Maybe she was a little, it's difficult to argue. I was going to say she was a bit too close to the net, but I'm not sure. So we've got 3 break points here for Sabalenka. You can even talk us through the first one.
Yep. As the first serve goes long, Uchijima will be looking to avoid a double fault here. Second serve does go in, but Sabalenka hits a great backhand, and Uchijima cannot respond with it, and it goes wide. So Sabalenka gets that break in the second set to go 3-1 up, and really looks to be in the driving seat.
As you said, she doesn't want to be double faulting here. The other thing you don't want to do is just be a bit too timid with that. And it's the classic sort of thing in tennis. You hit a double fault and you think, why did I take such a risk on that second serve? And then alternatively, you sort of just go, I'm just going to get this in. And the person who has classically on both sides of the tour fallen into this category is Alexander Zverev, who just has never been able to, or not never, that's not fair, but has often struggled with finding that happy medium on the second serve. I remember that Shapovalov fourth round, I think it was at the Australian Open, and some of the second serves were just going over the net, and Shapo was killing it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if obviously one of the big favourites for the title here beating Nadal in the first round. So it'll be interesting to see if that crops up again.
It's funny, of the four players, the sort of top 4 seeds on the men's side, I've got all 4 of them making the semis, but that probably won't happen. And it's funny because Zverev is probably the least vulnerable, which is a very weird thing to say.
Yeah,
but
would agree.
I'd have to look at his draw. I don't know who he's set to play in the quarters. But I know Rublev and Tsitsipas don't fall into the sort of top 4 category, but of course they're on a collision course for the 4th round. And you've also got Sabalenka gets a very comfortable hold. You've also got then the winner of that potentially playing Alcaraz. You've then also got the issues that Alcaraz is showing in terms of health, in terms of form to some extent. Same with Djokovic and same with Sinner. I still would back one or two of them making the semis, but all 3, the way they're playing.
Originally, I've got 3 with maybe surprisingly Djokovic, the only one not to make the semis.
I mean, he's got Casper Ruud in the quarters. My fear is with that is that Casper over 3 sets in Monte Carlo just got over the line. I mean, really, that could have gone either way. I think there was a double fault, I think, on match point from Novak. So, in fact, that Novak was serving, but it was on serve. It was just one of those sort of clinical moments in a match where, obviously, if you're serving second, you can be a bit more vulnerable, and that's exactly what happened as he double faulted on match point. And I just think over 5 sets, I just think that if Novak gets to the quarterfinals and presumably unscathed, and Novak's draw is very nice, I just think that Novak, Carlos, and Yannick, really, if they'd have come up against a Medvedev in the first round, or Casper Ruud has got Davidovich Fokina, for example, but of course that could have been a first round for any of those players. A few other dangerous players, I'm sure, Marajan, unseeded, they come up against them in the first round or second round, and you're just like, okay, well, that's really going to test elbows, hips, and form. But in Novak's case in particular, it's just like, okay, he's in the 3rd round before he's going to have to think about things. And the 3rd round, if he plays Musetti in particular, could be okay, he's got to think about this. But yeah, but I guess it's Casper Ruud you've got him losing to, right?
Actually, no, I don't.
Musetti.
No, in the middle, I kind of thought it was a bit of a strange prediction for myself, but I went with it. But then Kira told me that she also had Djokovic losing in the fourth round to Tommy Paul,
Oh, okay.
which I
Okay.
feel like it's definitely it'd be a surprise, but I feel like Paul does tend to lift his game against the big players. It's just
Yeah.
whether he can do it over 5 sets.
Yeah, things do get interesting from if Musetti beats Monfils, and hopefully Quen is not listening because he's a huge Monfils fan, but if Musetti beats Monfils, then it's like, okay, I'll tune in for the first set and see how that pans out,
Yeah,
and then I'll stay with it if Musetti takes an early lead. And again, yeah, Tommy Paul is an intriguing one if Tommy makes it to the fourth round.
obviously
Ooh.
Musetti's had previous well, I suppose success in a way against Djokovic at the French Open, taking it to 5 sets before really well.
Yeah,
He won the first 2 sets before kind of falling off and eventually retiring in the fifth.
yeah, falling off is a masterpiece of understatement, but yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, and of course he beat him in Monte Carlo last year.
Yes, true.
It's an interesting point. Eyeball to
Yeah,
eyeball.
I think Musetti would be more of a challenge than Monfils, unfortunately.
Yeah, head to head. If Monfils and Djokovic had never played each other, I wouldn't be saying anything. I'd be just going, well, one of
Yeah,
those two would be if they'd never
exactly.
played each other. But yeah. I mean, the other argument would be that if you're going to beat Novak, this is the time to do it. But you don't beat Monfils 19 times in a row and get away with it. I think is the classic Vitas
No,
Gerulaitis phrase about Jimmy Connors, which is just classic. Well, Uchijima is putting up a nice fight in this rally.
I suppose now really it's kind of now or never because 5-2 just does seem a bit insurmountable against a player like Sabalenka.
Yeah. Unless your name is Karolina Mukova.
But yes, who I saw was on, I don't know exactly what entry list it was. It might have been Eastbourne,
Yeah, one of the grass court tournaments she signed up for. I mean,
which is promising.
it is promising that she's focusing on that as a thing. I think she went out in the first round at Wimbledon last year.
Yeah, I feel like maybe an
But
injury or I can't remember.
I think she just lost, but it could have been an injury. But it was one of those that kind of went under the radar because it was, I think, a match that was a first round, but eventually got played on the Thursday.
Right, yeah, because there was a lot of rain last year.
Yeah, right.
Yola Niemeyer she lost to in 3 sets, so it was completed. So
Yeah, I mean,
maybe
it's a tough first round, former
Yeah,
quarterfinalist, but
yeah.
love 30 here on the Sabalenka serve, and we've got a first serve that goes long.
Wow. Sabalenka goes long again in a hard-hitting rally, and Uchijima now has, I think, probably to the surprise of many, 3 breakpoint opportunities to get
Yeah.
back on serve. Sabalenka fends the first of those off with an unreturned serve going way long at the baseline from Uchijima.
Just having a look around at other scores.
That's the second save to Sabalenka with a great forehand, which Uchijima gets a racket on, but that's about it. She's still got one more to save, and Uchijima's still got one more opportunity to get back into this second set. power of Sabalenka just shown to be too much as we get back to Juice, back on level terms in this service game.
Quarter Kwon is 2 sets to love for quarter, but Kwon is up a break in the third. And as I was kind of sleepwalking for a couple of minutes, I was then decided to just sort of flesh out, if anyone's not quite sure what I mean by sleepwalking through a few games, is I think probably Carlos Alcaraz can be guilty of that from time to time, particularly when he finds things really easy. I'm not actually talking about yesterday so much, although I know he did highlight it in his press conference about being dialed in. Dialed in is kind of the opposite of sleepwalking. But I know it's something Carlos has touched on before, especially when he's really in control of matches. And I remember the match he had with Tsitsipas in last year's quarterfinal, I think, at the French Open. It was either quarterfinal or quarterfinal. I think it was quarterfinal. And he was just so dominant. And he was up a break in the third. And you're like, okay. And suddenly, I think it might even have gone to a tie break, or it might have been 7-5 in the third. But you're thinking, well, how did that happen with just, and it was just, and he mentioned it in his on-court interview afterwards that he kind of, I don't think he said fell asleep, but you know what I mean. And he mentioned it to me actually as well in a press conference in Barcelona in last year about the difference between the 2023 one in Barcelona and 2022, when he was in loads and loads of tight battles in 2022, whereas he won the title in 23 without dropping a set. And he just said that he could stay dialed in for longer periods.
Yeah, I think when you're that good, it's sometimes hard to, and it's very easy to forget that he's still very young and he's still like a little bit like an excitable child at points. And I think he likes to put on a show, and sometimes that can not always benefit his game closeout matches.
Definitely.
Sabalenka does fend off, I think now 4 break points in total to go up 5-2 and 1 game away from reaching the third round.
Yeah, it was, yes. Of course, she was love 40, and then she also had an advantage against her.
Just to say that Dimitrov took the second set to go 2 sets to love up. And Soonwoo Kwon, I can't remember if you mentioned this or not, but he did take the third set to bring it back to 1 set.
2 sets to 1, okay.
Badossa's a breakup in the second set against Putintseva. Obviously lost that first set 6-4.
Yeah, I'm just watching the set point here for Dimitrov. Down the tee, ace.
And in terms of the other stream going on,
6-love, 6-3 looks pretty dominant.
Rybakina and Roos are currently on serve at 3-all. But it's currently 30-all on Rybakina's serve, so she's got some work to do to keep hold of it. Great backhand down the line.
Her catches up a break in the third.
Yes. A good start to the game from Uchijima, where she needs to hold on to stay in the match. A lovely backhand down the line winner. And she follows that up with a nice ace to go 30-love up.
Oh, and Daniil Collins has just got underway against Danilovic, 40-15 up in the first game.
I feel as though they played a great match at another clay court tournament this year. I feel like I remember mentioning that. It might have been Madrid, but it was pretty tight. Obviously, Collins has won a lot of matches this year, and she came through that match as well. Yeah, Madrid this year. Danilovic is definitely strongest on the clay. I think had a run to the French Open last year. Yeah, so Collins beat Danilovic 10-8 in the tiebreak in Madrid in the third set tiebreak. So it could be set for a close one there.
Potapova is through. I don't know if you said that already.
No, I didn't against Golubic.
On straight sets. Nerlan, I think it's a good idea from your perspective that you don't join the fantasy league. Bearing in mind your predictions, well, not the best. Not the best. He was very keen to write off Iga yesterday.
Right.
And, yeah.
Never write off Iga.
I mean, I understand you might be going, I think Osaka's got this, but there's saying I think Osaka's got this, and then there's writing off Iga, which is two different things.
You can't write off Iga, especially not a Roland Garros or on any clay court for that
Indeed.
matter.
No, I'm surprised you're not focusing on Rybakina. I think he's a Rybakina fan. And we're at deuce now as Uchijima goes long with that forehand. So we are now walking a very, very tight rope for Uchijima.
Yeah, it does kind of feel at this stage after Sabalenka fended off those break points. It's kind of a matter of
yeah,
when, not if.
Probably 6-2, 6-2 or 6-2, 6-3.
Yeah.
Feels like that, but if this was, somebody, if this was Nadal, Djokovic, you go, well, it's only one break, and you get one of them that you hold, because you could sometimes look at the scoreboard and go 5-2, and you go, it looks pretty bad for Juice, but you win the next 2 points, and then the other person's got to serve out. But the way the match has panned out from 1-1, I think it was, or 2-2 in the first set. I'm not sure if it was 1-1 or 2-2, but from that moment onwards, it's really looked like one-way traffic, with the exception of that last service game.
Yeah, I think if it was 5-2 in a Kostyuk match and she was down, I'd almost be expecting it to go to 5-all.
How is she doing in the second set?
It's on serve 1-all.
Yeah.
So Uchijima just did a double fault to get it back to Juice. Sabalenka 2 points away from taking the victory.
Mm-hmm. We're back in the Rus staying on serve.
Yes. Well, yes, on serve, but currently love 30 on Rus's serve. So it'd be interesting to see.
Oh, is it? Okay.
If Rybakina can take that break to, well, it would put a 5-3 up and then she'd be serving for the first set. But still a long way to go in this game. Nice variety shown from Sabalenka. They're not quite a drop shot, but a nice use of the slice.
Don't know if you can see this question from Nerlan.
Yes. It's an interesting question.
Nerlan is bilingual, Turkish and Russian,
right.
and obviously has a good grasp of English too. Yes and no. I think I'm not a language expert, far from it. But we've got a match point now for Sabalenka. In fact, you can talk us through this match point.
Yes. Okay. So Uchijima just stepping up to the line to potentially take the last serve of what has been a great unbeaten run for the Japanese player. 19 matches. I think she's won 25 of the last 26 as well.
Oh, okay.
Sabalenka muscles the serve back and hits the forehand winner to take the victory. What was the score then? 6-2?
6-2, 6-2.
Yeah, pretty comfortable. Just showed the difference in quality. I mean, Uchijima showed flashes of why she's been on that run, but I think it's a step up in level.
Definitely, yeah.
The ITF Tour and qualifying.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just going to share, as I see Rybakina has broken for 5-3. I'm just going to share the link for our audience to join Kira and I for Rybakina against Rus. Yeah, dominant performance display there from Sabalenka, and she marches on to the third round, and she's going to try and keep up that record, of course, of 6 out of the last 6 slams where she's made the semi-finals.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see who she's playing, because it's either Badosa or Putintseva. Putintseva won the first set, but Badosa is currently 4-1 up with a single break in the second. So it could be against
Yeah,
her,
so,
her
okay,
friend.
so that's sort of almost on a knife edge, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Just going to post the link in the chat. Yes, Sabalenka's run from now does get more interesting, and I can't remember exactly who the potentials are, but I just remember when the draw was made, of the 4 players, I thought, okay. I mean, of course, I had no idea that Osaka was going to prove as difficult as she was for Iga yesterday. And I looked at it and I thought, Coco's run is a dream. Rybakina's run is okay. The main thing with Rybakina is, is she going to be healthy? But in terms of the draw, it was okay. Iga's similar. Of course, I know about the potential roadblock of Collins and Ostapenko, and of course that head-to-head with Ostapenko. But there's no guarantees that Jelena will get that far. In fact, Jelena's got a really difficult match with Clara Towson today, so that may well be something out of the road for Iga. And it was Sabalenka from this round onwards that we're about to approach, the third round onwards, where it's like, okay, yeah, that's tricky. I think Madison Keys is a potential 4th round.
Yeah,
I don't
good
think it gets
for
much.
Keys.
Yeah, I don't think if that was an Iga against Keys, I'd go, well, that's a difficult 4th round, but I fancy Iga strongly, especially having seen how the last couple of matches between the pair have gone, and Madison, of course, saying last week that it sucks to play Iga on clay. But Sabalenka Keys, now that feels like, depending on who's playing better on the day, almost, if Madison, I mean, we saw them, of course, US Open semi-final last year, where Madison, of course, probably should have won that match in such a commanding position. But anyway, Sabalenka is through. Uchijima's 19-match winning streak, and I didn't even know it was 25 out of 26 as well. But that run is sort of the 25 out of 26 has been dented, and the 19-match winning streak has come to an end, and Sabalenka plows on into the third round. Matt, big thanks for joining me today.
Yes, it's been good watching 2 matches. The first obviously ended in a retirement, but the second match was more entertaining and a bit more, but still very dominant from Sabalenka.
Indeed. I'm going to go over and join Kira for Rybakina against Rus, which is building up to a crescendo in the first set. Last I saw was 5-3. But yes, I'll be... Oh, she's won the first set 6-3, Rybakina. So I'm going to go and join Kira for that. But yeah, thanks, Matt. And we'll be touching base again soon, hopefully over the weekend.
Yep, sounds good.
Cheers, Matt. Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.